Welcome! My name is Jan, and on this channel we see and celebrate God in the world before us now. This is my Texas, and it's a great place to homeschool. If the recent coronavirus outbreak has you thinking that, hey, maybe you could do this full time and maybe it's a good fit for your family, then stay tuned because today we're going to talk the legalities of getting a homeschool program started for your child in the state of Texas. Spoiler alert, Texas is great and there aren't too many laws or regulations. So stay tuned, hit that like button, give it a thumbs up if this content is going to be valuable for you, and subscribe so you never miss a moment. If you missed it, in my last homeschooling video, I talked about how to get started and some sample scheduling ideas when you're a working parent and a homeschooling one. If you missed it, check out the link in the description box below or double tap the icon up at the top of your screen. Don't forget to visit the website beforeyonow.com to download your free startup checklist to make sure you're in legal compliance with all that Texas requires as you get started in your own homeschool. I'm going to switch to audio now so I can share my screen with you and give you the maximum possible benefit during this training. All right, let's dive into it. We're going to talk first about the lay of the land here in Texas, including the 3 requirements for a legal homeschool here in the state. I'm going to share 3 best practices and a handful of resources that'll get you started on your way with confidence. So let's talk about Texas. In general, homeschool laws are governed by the U.S. Department of Education. Since 1994, with the Supreme Court decision in TEA versus Leeper, Texas families have had the right to homeschool their children without fear of reprisal. Here, homeschools are considered a type of private school and are not subject to regulation, which means that there are no requirements for the number of hours or days throughout the year or even hours in a single day that a homeschool must operate. The National Center for Education Statistics and the National Home Education Research Institute report that the number of students currently homeschooled in the United States is probably close to about 2 million, or approximately 3% of the school-age population. They base this extrapolation on data from the U.S. Census. The Texas Homeschool Coalition estimates that approximately 350,000 students are homeschooled here in the state. If your child has never been enrolled in public school, you simply begin. Get a curriculum and go. And check out my past homeschool video. Again, that link is down in the description for a couple of curriculum options that I'm really loving and enjoying for my soon-to-be second grader. If your kids have been enrolled in public school, the Texas Education Agency requires a letter of withdrawal to be submitted to the school. Now, you can do this by mail or email, and there are absolutely no other requirements. If you have doubts about how to compose such a letter, check out the website homeschoolstatelaws.com, and I'm putting the screenshot here for a free template. Now, as you get set up, there are 3 requirements in the state of Texas. Number 1, your homeschool has to be legitimate. No diploma mills, no shams. Please don't try and get away with actually not educating your child. Number 2, your curriculum has to be visual. You can use books, workbooks, video, distance education, but there has to be some sort of visual component that you can produce and explain. And finally, number 3, your curriculum must include these 5 subject matter areas: reading, spelling, grammar, math, and civics. Civics encompasses history, government, both theoretical and applied, and any component of being a good citizen here in the state and in our beloved country. All right, moving on, I've got 3 best practices for you. Number 1, if your student is currently enrolled in public school, although you're not required to, please go by the school and withdraw them in person. Even if you're leaving for a tough reason, such as bullying or their needs were not being met in the public school system, there's probably someone or some component of that school system that has added value to your child's life. Whether it's the principal, a particular teacher, a staff worker, someone who works in cleaning, someone who works in the cafeteria, someone there contributed to the well-being of your child for a period of time. So please go withdraw in person. And if you can put a name and a face to those people who did positively impact your public school experience, please thank them before you go. Next, get familiar with TEKS, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills requirements for your student's grade. Knowing what their public school peers are learning can help you develop your own curriculum and can help you bounce back and forth to make sure that your child is generally on track with their peers, or to evaluate areas and perhaps where they're well above or maybe a little behind. This is a requirement if you think that your child even remotely may go back to public school one day. It'll help that on-roading be a lot smoother. And finally, remember your why and write it down. The learning curve can be more than a little steep when you get started, but you can do this. And the reasons why you want to homeschool, whatever they are valid. Remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel and keep coming back for encouragement, support, and resources. Speaking of resources, the number one resource that I think you can get plugged into is the Texas Homeschool Coalition. This organization, for a $120 annual fee, gives you access to a ton of resources, including a complete civics course for older students, handbooks, ID cards so you can take advantage of student and teacher discounts wherever they're offered in local businesses, and record-keeping tools. If you think that you may have any legal barrier to homeschooling whatsoever, especially if it involves CPS or custody issues, please get involved with the Texas Homeschool Coalition early. They offer a ton of legal support and are subject matter experts in this area. Next up is the Texas Education Agency, TEA.texas.gov, because that's where the TEKS lists live, and you'll want to know, again, what those essential knowledge and skills are for public schools here in the state. And finally, get plugged into virtual community groups as soon as possible. You can do this right now after you finish this video. Pop on over to Facebook and just put in the search bar wherever you are and homeschool groups. I would be shocked if a dozen options don't turn up for you. The homeschooling community is far and away the most supportive, encouraging community I have ever had the pleasure of being a part of. And we're very new here, and we're being welcomed with open arms. I'd also urge you to consider attending an in-person conference for homeschooling families to gain those in-person connections. Many of these also offer opportunities to put your hands on new homeschool materials, tools, books, all the fun stuff. I hope this discussion was a useful one. If it helped you feel more confident as you get started homeschooling your child, please hit that thumbs up button and let me know. And subscribe so you never miss a moment. Don't forget to visit the website in the description box, beforeyounow.com, on the tools page to get your free checklist for homeschooling startup and legal requirements here in the great state of Texas. I look forward to seeing you at the next one, and until then, I hope you have a very happy day.